So I can win?
So Taffy can win. Exactly right.
Keep them back.
Keep them back. Yep. So we want to take it as early as we can, right? What are some mechanical things as far as how is your body going to be able to reach as much as you can and keep them deep?
Bend the knees.
Bend the knees. What else? Lean forward. Arm back. Yeah, the arm back, non-dominant. This is one thing that not a lot of people do, especially around here. I'm not even that good at it. When I'm really mindful of that, it really does help, though. I do get those extra couple inches. Yep, excellent. What else? One more thing.
Take it out of the air.
What's that?
Take it out of the air.
Take it out of the air. And what?
Scott would actually touch the net if he did that.
Scott would, yes. Yep. One more component I don't think we've said yet.
On the balls.
Toes?
Thank you, Teresa. On the balls of your feet, there should be a little gap on your heels between your heels and the ground. So that way you're really leaning forward. Good. Excellent. Okay. Today we're going to talk about offensive third shots. So think about the third shot. And I tell you what, if you guys can all kind of see this court here, okay? So offensive third shot. So pretend, Jamie, you want to stand here for a second? Jamie's going to be my partner right here. We just served. That means that I'm serving. That means that person on the even side is returning back to us, okay? Now, in this situation, the very first thing that we should always be thinking about when we're about to hit the third is where is the return coming from? Who's the returner? So if I'm returning, or so if I'm serving to the even side right here, we know that it's coming to the return from the even side, right? So the first thought should be, can I go back there? Why should my first thought go, can I go back there? Can I hit my third there? Why? Because they're back. Because their partner's up front, right? So I'm going to try to keep them back if possible. Now, one way I can do that, of course, is hit a deep serve, because that means it's going to take longer for them to get to the net, right? So I have to think about, as I'm kind of completing my serve, if we both are thinking this way, as we see this serve, is it deep? Are they deep? And the second thought is, how good is their return? If there's a nice loopy return, they made it all the way to the non-volley line, my option to go there is limited now, right? Because my goal is to keep them back. So offensive third shot mindset is I'm ready to hit fairly hard if that person's back at all, okay? That should be first thought right away. Now, the misconception that we all have, even myself a lot of times, is when we get a chance to hit a third, I'm going to hit the hell out of this thing, right? 100% power and all that. The reality is, if you can just add a little bit of spin, even if you can't, you just go about 70 to 80% power, that's going to be a great shot, offensive third shot most of the time. If you look at those two targets on the even side where the returner came from, okay? Let's say it's a pretty decent return, my serve is fine, it's pretty decent. They made it probably 80% of between the baseline to the non-volley line. If I try to just take 70% power, lean forward to it, and I go to between those, I call it the lane, between those two targets, chances are it's going to avoid the net player, and it's going to dip down. That person, even if they're running up split step, they're probably taking it below the net line. Does that make sense? Which means, if my partner can see that all unfold too, I'm hitting there, Jamie has a chance to run up, maybe get a chance for that pop-up. So the goal should be right away, hit cross court, wherever the returner is. Now, let's say Jamie is serving, okay? So he's going there. And let's say the return comes down the line. Where should my first thought be? Where am I hitting it to? Down the line again. Why?
Because they're back.
Because they're the returner. Yep, they are back, they are the returner. So now, my target is those right there. And as you notice, I didn't put any of the markers on the line. Why not?
Lines are for losers.
Thank you. Lines are for losers. So I've got a foot of wiggle room. Margin for error. Margin for error right here. And I've got about 4 feet from that sideline. This is what we call the lanes that you should be aiming for. So whenever you're going back to the returner, think about that lane, okay? Now, I'm going to go on the other side just to show you a visual.
I always try to pass it up, and that's my mistake.
Okay, Scott, you want to be the server there? Okay.
Sure.
So, let's say Scott is the server. You just have to stand there and still hold your water. So if Scott's the server there, let's say he's serving to the even side, my partner is returning. Let's say it's to Scott, okay? What is my job? What should I be doing right now?
Covering line.
Covering line, like Sherry's doing like this. I gotta make sure that the inside of my paddle can reach this. But I'm a very assertive player. I like to take everything that I can. Scott is looking to go back to that returner, right? Especially if that returner didn't hit it very deep or they didn't make it all the way. That means I know also Scott is trying to go in that lane. So I gotta be honest about protecting this line, but I'm also gonna reach pretty far. Now if you notice how far I can reach right now, okay? And if he hits a slow shot back, I can even get a little bit further. If Scott hits that, even with his forehand right now, anywhere in that lane, between those targets, we draw a straight line, imaginary line here. Scott, do you think I can reach it from there? No. No. So even an assertive player probably is not going to get that ball as long as you aim to that lane. Again, a foot inside that line to about 4 feet from that sideline. Same thing if he's going down the line. So let's say I'm here, my partner's here, returning from here, Jamie just served. This person again returns to Scott. Now I'm hovering way over here because I'm daring him to go this way, which probably won't happen. What's Scott's roll? Where are you going to try to aim? Scott, try to aim down the line, down the line. If you go between those targets, can I reach this? Probably not. Probably not. Probably not. And look how far I'm even over. Right? I'm going really far. So that's what we're going to focus on today. Is trying to hit 70% what we call semi-drives. Okay. Now there's times where they make it all the way to the net. We got to be willing to drop, so on and so forth. Today, our focus is let's get really good at hit a 70% drive. Now here's the reality. My 70% drive might be different than Cam's, might be different than Penny's. So yours might have to be that 80%. Go with the mindset. It's got to be strong enough. It's going to avoid the net player. That the most aggressive player that you can think of, whether it's Jordan or somebody else, most aggressive person up there. How do we get past them first and still hit that lane? So for some of you, it might be a 100% shot, maybe, hopefully not. But I think for most of it's going to be that 70 to 90% power. Try to go for that. Now, as you notice the depth, this is about 6-7 feet, probably 7 feet from the baseline, okay? And the reason being is we know that no matter how good the serve is, the person is starting off either from here or from here when they hit that shot. So they're making it probably realistically at least here. But even if they make it here, and your target is to land it somewhere in this target, they're still hitting below the net, okay? So do what you need to do to hit this direction to those lanes, but also think about how much power do you need to hit. So one, it drops here. We don't want a 70% power that floats here. That's no good. We want it to be here or shorter. The reality is, if I had more markers, I would put markers between that non-volley line and here. So anywhere between the non-volley line and here in that direction is going to be fine. So think about what your skill level is. What power do you need to do to have it still drop in there? I would say the fastest that you could swing and still dip it in here. If you can do 100% power, but you have so much topspin on it, it dips in there, great, that's your shot. If you don't think you can do topspin at all, and your shot is just naturally floaty, especially on the backhand side, take some off, so your target doesn't change. Non-volley line to here, a foot from the sideline to about 4 feet from the sideline. Does that make sense? Okay. Any questions on any of that?
Do we aim more for the backhand than the forehand, or does it you run the risk of the other person?
Perfect. Yeah, you kind of brought up both points. Yeah. So there's great things to think about. So the first thing you should always think about when you're starting a match is, who am I playing, right? Are they right-handed, left-handed? How aggressive are they at the net? How good are their drops? I mean, you should kind of have just a quick evaluation of both their players, not of their looks, of their abilities. So at that point, yeah, if it's Scott up here, how aggressive is he? I mean, you're going to rate him real quick. Is he going to try to take this? If I hit this cross court, is he more likely to stay in his area or to move over? If the answer is he likes his area, he's comfortable there, he's not going to move a lot, go to their backhand, right? That's an orange all day. But if all of a sudden you're playing somebody else, or he feels like he's getting more, more movement on there, then all of a sudden you better move away from him. So I would say, start off early in the match. Goal is kind of right in the middle here. Let them have the forehand. It's okay. They're probably still hitting it below the net. And then see how this person moves, and then adjust from there. Great question. Yep. What else? Any other questions? Okay. So here are the groups today. On court 1, let's call this court 1 today. That's court 2, court 3, court 4 today, okay? Court 1, I have Becky, Jackie, Penny, and Melissa. Court 2, I have Teresa, Scott, Carolyn, and Nate. Court 3, I have Jerry, Kevin, Taffy, and Cam. And last court, I've got Jamie and Sherry.